All right, we're going to pivot, bring our next guest in. Guys, we have a rematch tonight between the Cavs and the Thunder. Danny Cunningham's here to talk about it, and we are going to do an Ultimate Cavs post-game show tonight coming up after the final buzzer blows between the Cavs and the Thunder.
Yeah.
Myself, Jason, and maybe some other friends will join us, but we will have an Ultimate Cavs post-game show, so make sure you guys tune in when the final buzzer sounds between the rematch tonight on TNT, a nationally televised contest between the Cavs and the Thunder. And with that, we are thrilled to welcome Danny Cunningham of the Locked On Cavs podcast to the show to help us break down the matchup between the two best teams in the NBA.
Danny, are you playing with the doll there, Tyvis? Yeah. Danny, would you like a doll?
I'm good on that one.
You're good?
I'm good there.
All right.
No, I'm a Notre Dame fan.
Oh, shit.
A Notre Dame fan?
Well, then, thoughts on the game?
Oh, my God.
I think Ohio State will probably win.
Yeah.
I think they have a significant amount of talent that Notre Dame just doesn't have right now, especially on the outsides offensively.
Mm-hmm.
Feel a little bit better if Benjamin Morrison were healthy for Notre Dame and playing, just like having that really good corner that had a really good game last year against Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah.
But I just think that they're missing too much. I don't think they're dynamic enough offensively to keep up.
Will Notre Dame's quarterback be working at AutoZone next year or Subway?
I actually think he could be a pretty good tight end in the NFL.
Oh.
Like
Super athletic.
dude's a tank. He's really athletic. He's like
How does Notre
6'5".
Dame not have a legit quarterback?
I think that the kid they're going to have next year is going to be
He's
pretty
legit
good.
quarterback.
I
Think
think next year the kid that's going to start for him, CJ Carr's Lloyd
Lloyd
Carr's
Carr's,
grandson.
yeah.
He was a highly ranked recruit. I think he's going to be the starter next year. I think that's when you'll start to see them have a good quarterback.
What
for
do
the first
you
time
think
in a
about the
while.
fact that Joe Montana's traveling the country telling everybody that Rudy Rudiger was a piece of shit, basically?
I mean,
got a
whatever
problem
Joe
with that?
says, man, I don't. The
Okay.
movie's great, but that doesn't mean that's reality. It's a
Apparently
great
the movie was a total
I
fraud.
avoided the
all
real
movies
story in
can
that
be.
because it
ruins the
in my
movie.
mind, what's the actor's name? Sean Astin?
Yeah.
That dude is Rudy to me.
He is right.
The real Rudy doesn't exist.
Yeah.
That's
In my mind.
Yeah.
funny.
Because it
And
would
that's
ruin the
fine.
movie.
That's fine.
I met the
I'm
real
good
Rudy
living in
once,
that
though.
reality.
Oh, yeah, me
I'm
too.
good with that.
Me too.
All right, let's get to the Cavs. Obviously, great win last week at home against Oklahoma City, and they're missing one of their key pieces this week. We were talking about that earlier. And we were saying we're expecting the Cavs to obviously feed the post quite a bit.
Sure.
Is that the game plan tonight?
Yeah, I would have to think so. I mean, no Isaiah Hartenstein, no Chet Holmgren still. Like, they're going to be a team that doesn't have size in OKC, and that's one of the strengths of the Cavs. What I'm interested in seeing is how good is Donovan Mitchell going to play after he was 3 of 16, I believe it was, last Wednesday night. Now, Lou Dort is somebody that for OKC, he's a really good defender. He's given Donovan a lot of problems throughout his career when those two have matched up. But I think Evan Mobley should have another big night. Jarrett Allen, I thought, played the best game of his season when they played last week here. I don't know if he's going to have 25 points on 11 shots the way he did, but I think that if the Cavs are going to win this game again, it's going to be one inside because OKC just doesn't have an answer for them near the basket.
So what do you think they do with SGA? I mean, obviously SGA had him and Jalen Williams both had really productive games. What do you think they do this time around to try to slow them two down?
So I think it's going to be a lot of the same what they did because what you saw them do against Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Dean Wade defended him. I thought he did a great job. Yeah, Shai scored 31 points, but he needed 27 shots to get there. They did a good job of keeping him off the free throw line, which is something that is important because he gets a ton of points just by getting to the line by drawing fouls. So if you can avoid that, and Dean is a long defender, he's more athletic than I think a lot of people probably give him credit for across the league, and he is kind of somebody that I've talked to a few people that are around that team. They view Dean Wade as somebody that's kind of not like the Shai stopper, but the prototype of what you want if you have to defend Shai Gilgeous-Alexander just because of his length, his quickness. He's somebody that can give problems. So if Shai has the same game he has, where he scored 31 points on 27 shots, the Cavs will take that every time.
Have you seen a change in Donovan's attitude? Because we were talking about this, his ability to go out and score 35 like he did against the Pacers, or do what he did against the Thunder, had an off night, but also facilitated the ball well, did other things. He doesn't seem like a selfish guy that is just trying to get, pad the stats, box score, all that stuff. It seems like all these guys, including Donovan, who's a superstar, are playing together and will take what the defense gives them. They just want to win games.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing sexy about it, although it is sexy to have 35 wins.
Right. I mean, the record's sexy.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. But, I think that the leadership aspect of Donovan has been the most impressive part of his season because is he a lesser player than the guy who scored 28 points a game and was 6th in MVP voting a couple of years ago? I don't think so. I think he's probably better.
Yeah.
But what he's done is he's taken a step back, or maybe even a step to the side, if you want to call it, so that Evan Mobley can step up, so that Darius Garland can step up and get back to all-star form that he was a couple years ago. Like, I don't look at him as doing anything lesser or worse. I actually think he's playing some of the best, most efficient basketball of his career. It's just that he isn't being asked to do what he had been asked to do in the past. Like, he had been asked the first 2 years he was in Cleveland to carry this Cavs team. And now he's being asked to, hey, this is more of a team effort now. We've got better pieces, or pieces that are more ready to, help carry a championship team. And it's a team that can go farther the less Donovan has to do. He's still capable of doing everything they need, but the less often he has to do that, the better off it is for the Cavs.
Let's go back to Dean Wade for a minute, because the last 2 years he hasn't been there for the playoffs.
Right.
Obviously, this team's a lot better. They're better coached. You talked about how he played against SGA, and if you didn't watch the game and you just saw the box score, you'd say, well, he kicked his butt. But as you said, he made him take tough shots.
Right.
He's a great player. He's going to make tough shots, right? He did the same thing, I thought, with Siakam the other day against Indiana. If they have Dean Wade in the playoffs, if he's actually healthy this year in the postseason, I think in the playoffs where you're playing a whole series, these good players may get worn down a little bit with Dean Wade defending them. And even though they're going to have big games because they're good players, as the series goes, that could be a big factor.
Right, and this is going to sound insane to say, but Dean Wade is one of their more irreplaceable players because they don't have someone else that's like him. Like, if something were to happen to Donovan Mitchell or Darius Garland, it's obviously bad news, right? You don't need me to tell you that. But they also have not a clone of that guy, but they have somebody in another backcourt guy that's really, really good. The only guy that's like 6'9", 6'10", athletic on the wing on this roster is Dean Wade. Like, he is somebody that they have a hard time replacing. That's why his stats aren't going to blow you away. He's not going to be somebody that you look at even as an all-defense guy. I mean, you saw against Indiana, he didn't score, but he was also, I think, a plus 12 in that game because he can do stuff, particularly on defense, while still spacing the floor on offense. He's going to be respected as a shooter that they just don't have other guys that are capable of doing that because he brings a size that no one else has.
So let me ask you the big question. At the deadline, there's all this talk about them. Some people think that they should go all in on this season. Some people think that they should trade maybe a guy to get, back into the salary cap thing?
Right, so they're very slightly over the luxury tax right now. And as we've seen in the past, Dan Gilbert has no problem paying the luxury tax when the team is good enough to win a championship, and I would bet that we're probably all in agreement they're good enough to do that this year. But they're going to be in the luxury tax for years to come. This is not going to be a cheap team with the extensions they've handed out to Donovan and to Darius and Evan and Jarrett. So they're going to be in that tax for the next several years. And with the repeater tax, where when you get down the line, it costs more and more and more the longer you're in it, you kind of don't want to be in it by like $1.5 million, which is where they're at right now. Like, if you want to be in it, you want to be in it. If you're like
LeBron's team.
Right, like you want to go all in and spend a lot of money if you're going to make it count. You don't want to be $1 million over. You want to try and get under if you can. But in the same breath, what do you want to change about this roster? Like, what do you want to change about into the locker room? Like, there's not everybody on this team is going to contribute in every single round of the playoffs. It's just not how it works in the postseason. But do you want to change the dynamic of that locker room, which I've been in a lot of locker rooms in my career. Like, it is one of the most special groups of guys that I've been around in terms of how they get along, the camaraderie of the group. Like, that is something that I do think is almost a bigger decision as Kobe Altman navigates towards this trade deadline of, well, do we want to upgrade somewhere? And the cost is more so than just trading away a player. It's trading away an actual person out of that locker room, and that could make a difference.
And the Cavs are in a unique situation, I think, because they don't really have assets to significantly upgrade.
Right.
If you said, okay, well, we can get a huge upgrade over Dean Wade, okay, maybe you consider it. But they don't have anything to trade to do that. So if you're only going to get a slight upgrade anyway, why would you mess with the chemistry of a team that's playing so well?
Right. I don't think that they should. I think that they should be a team that stands pat. And, if you go back and look at teams that have won the title in the last just 10 years, so go back to the first Warriors championship, the year they beat the Cavs for the first time in the finals, teams very rarely that win the championship make a trade in the season. It's a very rare thing, and if they do it, it's for a very minor player. I think the last time a team that traded for a starter in the middle of the season was the Milwaukee Bucks the year they won the title. I believe Of the last 10 years, only 2 teams have traded for a starter midseason. It just doesn't happen. It's something that gets overblown. Often when you make a trade, you're not a team that's actually good enough to win a title, and that's why you have to make a trade. I don't think that's where the Cavs are. I think they're already at a point where they're good enough. I don't think a trade's necessary.
In the playoffs, I've asked several hosts about this, or analysts about this. How many guys are going to play? Because we could go as deep as we want.
Right.
It could be 10 guys in the playoffs.
I think it's going to be interesting, and I think it's going to be something that changes from series to series. When they're in the first round, it's probably going to be a little bit of a longer rotation because they're going to be pretty heavy favorites against whoever they're playing. Like, they should win that series no matter what. And then as you get deeper and deeper, you see that rotation shrink a little bit more and a little bit more. I think that magic number will probably be 9 by the time we get deep into the playoffs, and it's going to rotate who that 8th and 9th guy is. I think you've got the starting 5. Max Strus will play, Karis LeVert will play, and then I think it's kind of a rotating cast of characters after that that's dependent on the matchup. Like, there might be some matchups where they need additional ball handling, and Ty Jerome makes a ton of sense. There might be some matchups where they need maybe a little bit more size, and George Niang's on the floor. So it's going to be kind of up to Kenny Atkinson. Yeah. That's one of the things I'm fascinated to learn.
I'm surprised you didn't see. I assumed Ty Jerome would be part of the mix no matter what. I assume Sam Merrill's not part of the mix in the playoffs. And Okoro, I guess it depends.
It depends how Isaac's shooting. Like, he's not. I don't think he's made a 3-pointer since that shoulder injury.
Yeah,
he's
and that's one of the things that I wonder about is he going to be able to get that shooting back to where he was? Because before he got hurt, he was shooting almost 50% from 3.
Right.
Like, he was awesome. It's just until that injury happened, he was great. Is he going to find that rhythm again?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was going to ask about Okoro, Danny, because since he's come back, he's been coming off the bench, and his efficiency, you mentioned the shooting. I think he's 1 of 14 from the floor since coming back, or 1 of 17. It's not good. I've seen the argument online that he has to start to get his rhythm and re-find it. Do you buy the fact that he's just not as effective as a bench player as he would be for a starter for this Cavs team?
I don't think that necessarily matters, especially when you look at role players. And some guys find their rhythm better in the starting lineups than others. Some guys find their rhythm better coming off the bench. Like Karis LeVert, I think, is a prime example of that. He wants to come off the bench because he feels like that's the best way he can find his rhythm. When you're talking about a role player like Isaac Okoro, who's playing, 22 minutes a game now on good nights, I just don't think that is worth changing up the starting lineup for them with Dean Wade. That's worked really, really well. I think if we see a move of the starting lineup, it's going to be Max Strus going back into that starting small forward spot the way we saw last year when everybody was healthy. So I don't think Isaac Okoro is somebody that you look at and say, yeah, we could probably get more out of him if he's in the starting lineup. I think it's more of a, what is the best group? And maybe you change some of the groups that he's playing with. I think that could be a fair thing. But I don't think putting him in the starting lineup is going to solve the shooting issues he has right now.
Danny, when you look at this, and I think all Cavs fans are excited, but I think in the back of every Cavs fan's mind is playoffs.
Right.
And when you watch this, we know that playoff basketball is different than regular season. We have some guys that even call it meaningless.
Not this year,
Not this year. You have not.
Yeah.
But when you think about that and you watch this Cavs team, is there doubt in your mind, or are you just 100% sure that the team that we are currently seeing right now and how they're playing will translate to the playoffs?
I think it'll translate. I really don't have doubt about that. And I think that the fact they have some playoff experience already as a group, like this team did not change from last year. Marcus Morris is gone, but that's it. The rest of the group is back. So the fact that they have experience of, 1, finding a little bit of success in the postseason by beating Orlando, and 2, also dealing with failure. Like, it's very, very rare for a team to just go, it's your first time together and you go to the finals and you maybe even win the finals. Historically, unless you have LeBron on the roster, that doesn't happen in the NBA. Think back to, this is why I think the Warriors, when they were at their peak before Kevin Durant, are a really good comparison for this Cavs team. Think back to what they were the 2 years before they won their first championship. They lost in the second round, they lost in the first round, they fired their coach, they brought everybody back. Sound familiar? Like, that's who the Cavs are. I think that the style they're playing, where they're lighting it up offensively, do I expect them to be this historically great on that end of the floor in the postseason? Probably not, but I think that defensively they're going to continue to get better, and they're a team that still has, despite not playing to their potential on that end of the floor, like, they still have a roster that's built to be a really, really good defensive team. I just think all of that bodes well for the postseason.
If you heard the entire team was hanging out together, would they most likely be at the club, the bowling alley, the movie theater, or medieval times?
What is medieval times?
You don't know what medieval times is?
No.
You're weird, Bull. Why do you medieval times?
Who doesn't know what medieval times is?
Well, I'm going to rule that one out.
It was my way of saying they'd be playing Dungeons and Dragons.
I'm going to rule that one out.
Okay,
I'm going to
fair.
rule
would
that
understood
one
that
out.
part.
I could see bowling. I could see
Bowling?
bowling. I could see bowling. I think it maybe depends on the city they're in if they're all hanging out. Like
Yeah.
if they're in Miami, that answer might change a little bit. It might be the club.
They would be the club, this team.
You're telling me this team's not going to lose a game just to go back to a city?
I don't think that's what's going to happen. I don't.
Yeah.
I think that I think they're going to be pretty focused when that time of year comes.
All right. We got to get you to medieval times, man.
You
You
know-
guys ever been to medieval times?
Like those dinners?
Yeah, they do.
I know what it is, but
I know
I've
what
never
it
been,
is.
no.
It's really dorky.
It's really
Yeah, it's very dorky. That was my point. But
I'd go.
it can be fun though.
I've never
eat
been.
eat a turkey leg like an animal.
You like that?
Who doesn't like turkey? You like turkey legs?
Yeah, but like
Like an animal? Like an absolute no knife, no fork.
Yeah.
Just an absolute
Dark
animal.
meat too, you animal.
Dark meat. Gotta
Danny,
go dark.
the
Yeah, go ahead.
Thunder are actually favored in tonight's game by
Right.
a point and a half. It was 3.5 before the Hartenstein news came. He's not playing tonight. Not asking if you're a betting man or not because some are, some aren't. But do you like the Cavs at minus or plus 1.5 tonight?
I think that's an interesting line, and the news of Hartenstein being out because of the injury that he's dealing with, just with OKC not having size, I think there's more upside with the Cavs winning this game. I talked to somebody that covers the Thunder probably a week and a half ago, so before the first matchup, and he goes, I just don't see how the Cavs don't sweep this 2-game set that they play because OKC just doesn't have the size. If Evan Mobley, if Jarrett Allen, if they both play well, OKC right now, with how their roster is constructed, with who is injured, they don't really have a counter to that. And I think the Cavs can have a really big rebounding advantage, too. You think back to the first matchup, there was a possession, and it started with 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And the Cavs had the ball for 55 seconds because they got 3 offensive rebounds. And OKC just kind of can't prevent that at times. So I do like the Cavs in this matchup tonight.
It's gonna be
The
interesting.
big, let me ask one more. The
Yeah,
big
go
still
ahead.
your X factor though, Danny, in terms of whoever determines tonight's winner. Is it Allen and Mobley just going off again?
Yeah, I think it's size because, again, no Hartenstein, no Chet Holmgren. Mobley's playing really well, too. Look at what he did on Tuesday night in Indiana against the Pacers. That third quarter, he dominated. And even if you go back against that Thunder game, he had a really good game. He didn't make any threes. And that's been one of the things we've seen from him for like the last 6 weeks or so. His volume of three-point shooting has gone up. He's shooting at like 40%. That wasn't even part of the game against OKC. If he hits a couple of threes tonight in this game, that really, to me, tilts the scales in the Cavs' favor.
And maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but this could be potentially a very big game in terms of if they played the Thunder in the finals.
Right.
Because the Thunder are close enough record-wise. If they win this game and the two teams end up with the same record, the Cavs would have home court because they've swept them.
Right, and I think that's a really important thing because we talk about trusting this team in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think you feel a lot better about this team when the postseason arrives if every single series they play in starts at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse.
Definitely.
And any Game 7 they would have to play takes place at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. I think that's really important.
And in the East specifically, it means the Celtics have to play the Knicks in theory
Sure.
in the semis.
Yes.
And because the line of demarcation in the East, I think, is after 3.
Let them beat each other up.
They'll beat the crap out of each other for hopefully a 7-game series.
Absolutely. And where would you, if there were a place that I could pick for the Cavs to not have to play a Game 7, it would be in Boston.
Yeah.
That's a place.
Certainly.
You should not want them to have to go for a Game 7. You should not want them to go for a Game 1. Like home court advantage over Boston, I think it might be a bigger deal than home court advantage in the finals, honestly.
You don't think Boston's falling off? Didn't they get smoked?
I
by
think they're
the-
bored.
That's the same thing somebody said to me last night.
They just won a title last year. They, like the Cavs, really didn't change anything about their team. They know who they are. They've been together for however many years. I'm not saying that they're the same exact team, and I think that the road in the Eastern Conference is much, much more difficult than it was last year. But they, to me, look like a team that we won a title last year. We
Put
are
off the gas a little bit.
a little bit, and they're 6 games behind the Cavs. I think they're probably
Yeah.
pretty resigned to the fact they're not going to get the 1 seed because the Cavs have gotten off to such this incredible start.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what, we're locked into 2-3. Who
Yeah.
cares about what's going on against
Just give us
Toronto in
some playoffs,
January?
right?
Right, yeah. I mean, we've seen that here with Cavs teams before.
Sure.
When LeBron was here,
Absolutely.
especially after they won the title, that 2016-17 team I thought was much better than the team that actually won the title. they won fewer games because they didn't care down the stretch.
Yeah.
Like they're just like, we'll wait for the postseason.
Danny,
I
do
see
you-
some of that in Boston.
Do you think, Danny, that helps the Cavs because the Cavs are like locked in now? They're more hungry than the Celtics, and the Celtics think that they're just going to coast to the postseason and then just turn it on. Like, there's something to be said for like being engaged through
Right.
the regular season. I know you don't have to play every night. There's load management and all those things, but in terms of like, if they're just like, let's just get there. We know we're the 2 seed. We're going to be fine. Well, you know what? Their ass may get bounced.
I think
quick
it's
with that attitude.
I think it's a really hard thing to flip the switch, right? Like we all made that joke when the Cavs had LeBron about how they were just going to flip the switch when the playoffs came, and they did a good enough job of that. That's really, really difficult to do. It's hard to succeed in the postseason when you're not building the proper habits during the regular season because, yeah, the intensity goes up. It's a different game, and if you've been there, done that, it's not an impossible thing to do, but it's a big challenge. And I just think that Boston last year, I don't want to say it was easy for them to win the title, but they did not have the most difficult road, certainly, of getting to the finals. And that's going to be much different this year. I think New York is better. Now, we don't know that New York is healthy. I mean, all their starters play like 38 minutes a night, and that's going to catch up with you at some point, too. But I think that the East, the top of the East, is much stronger than it was last year, and that's going to matter for Boston.
Agreed, but still count out the Celtics at your own peril.
Oh, no.
I'd much rather them play the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals than the Celtics. I don't know what you guys think, but
I think that I don't trust New York's rim protection. Like, Karl Anthony Towns is a great offensive player, but I think that Evan Mobley would really succeed on offense in that series. And he's also somebody, too, I used to cover the Timberwolves. Like, I know Karl a little bit. I covered teams he was on. There's going to be a moment where the Knicks are in the postseason. It's going to be like Game 3 at home against the Celtics. Series is going to be tied 1-1. And Karl's going to pick up 5 fouls in 24 minutes. And they're going to lose a game because he just does a bunch of dumb stuff defensively. I think the Cavs match up better against New York than they do against Boston because, let's be honest, Boston has more talent. Like, they have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Kristaps Porzingis. Like, they're a better team. So I think you'd be silly if you said, I would rather play Boston. No, New York would be the better matchup.
all right, Danny, good stuff, man. Thanks for coming on.
Appreciate you guys having me.
Podcast every day?
Every day, man. Every single day.
There you go.
Danny, where could they find you on Twitter as well? Because Earl just stepped out, and we need Earl to help unmic you and stuff.
Real D Cunningham on Twitter is where you can find me.
And you also write for Cleveland. We're just going to pump Danny right now. Danny, where do you write? Let
Cleveland
Earl just walk
Magazine.
down on us, so yeah.
Cleveland Magazine, my Substack, The Inside Shot, Locked On Cavs. Man, I have my hands in a lot of things. I'm a very busy guy.
Oh,
There you go.
my boy Matt Fishman told me to tell you.
Oh, yeah, that's my guy.
Shout
That's
out
my
to
guy.
Fish.
Good guy.